Hello and welcome to Internet Marketing Revealed. My guest today is Tony Newton, and as he described himself in the form which I invite my guests to complete before they come on the show, just to give me a bit of information and to try to get some structure on what we're going to talk about in the episode today. Tony describes himself as an old git who's been doing this online thing since 1998. So I'm assuming that's the technical description there. So Tony, he began his online journey the same year as me, which was way back in 1998. So I may indulge in some reminiscing about trying to do the whole online thing with a dial-up connection. We may mention some websites which perhaps no longer exist. And Tony, he's done a lot during his, decades online now. He's created products, he's been involved in affiliate marketing, he does video marketing, he's present on social media. So I'm looking forward to hearing Tony's story, and maybe we should make it a condensed version. Otherwise, we could be here talking all day to cover everything that you've done. But I'm really looking forward to doing this episode today, and I'm sure Tony's going to share a lot of tips and advice along the way. So first of all, welcome to the show, Tony.
No, thanks, David. It's great to be here, and I am yet officially the old git of online marketing. So yeah.
Nah, you're not that old, surely. But before we delve into this 2-decade journey online, how about we start just a bit before that, and if you could tell us a little bit about your backstory.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, basically, I left school, went to sixth form, then got a job working in security. So I would fit security systems, so burglar alarms, CCTV, that sort of thing. That was local at the time, so it was good. I enjoyed it. But then the company sort of branched out, and then it was working away. So it was Monday to Friday, working away. Could be anywhere in the UK. So I get back late on a Friday night, start up again Monday morning, which at the time was okay because I was young. I was enjoying being away from home. But it quickly after, I did it for 8 years. So getting on towards sort of 5, 6, 7, 8 years, it got very tiring because, I couldn't have a life because I was away that long. So I started, like you say, about 98. I think it was either 97 or 98, bought the first computer. Big, huge thing as they were back then with the CompuServe CD that got you online on your dial-up, on the phone. And obviously I was at home at the time, so I had to pick my times when I could go online because, you hog the phone line when you're using dial-up.
Yeah, I remember those days well.
Yeah, so that wasn't exactly ideal. But I started looking, I started trying to see if there was something else out there, try and see if I could actually make money online, because obviously it was all new back then. There certainly wasn't as many, obviously, programs and things as what there are now. But I started looking into that. So that was basically how I first sort of got into just looking at, because I tried a lot of things. I tried direct mail for a while. I used to buy all these sort of magazines and everything with business opportunities, and I used to get them delivered. I even tried like the sellotape in the £1 coins to and mailing them out in the hope that you get them back from people. That whole sort of pyramid scheme type things back then. I tried everything because I knew there'd be a way that I could actually make something work.
Yeah, I remember those cash in the post things around the late 90s, actually. Yeah, because I think I had one out of the blue come through my parents' house. And you look at it, and I think I was only about 17 at the time, and I looked at it, I thought, yeah, that sounds like a really good idea, not knowing that it's actually highly illegal in the UK, even though that sort of thing seems to be having some kind of resurgence in the USA at the moment. I've seen quite a few people on social media promoting these cash in the post deals, although, yeah, for us here in the UK, it's a huge no-no to get involved in anything like that. But was that your big, I suppose, your goal back in those days then? You were looking to move away from doing your day job completely and trying to make a full-time income right from the start back in the late 1990s?
Yeah, probably like everyone. It was just, you see, money wasn't an issue. I was living at home. So, I didn't have to bring money in to pay all the bills and everything. So for me, it was just a case of I knew there'd be another way of making money. I've always been into sort of entrepreneurship and looking at, how people sort of build the businesses and that side of it. It was never a thing to me of, oh, I want to get rich or I want to be a millionaire. I just knew it was a way of bringing in another income stream. But primarily it was towards the end before I quit the job of, yeah, I was fed up with working away. So I knew I had to do something. It's sort of the big switch from there to the online stuff was when I left, I quit the job. I actually went traveling for 6 months around like Australia and Thailand. And then when I came back from that, because I'd quit that, I'd give that up. I knew I didn't want to do it anymore. This was before I actually started making money online. So I'd quit the job, went away traveling, came back, and then I knew for a fact that I wasn't going back and I didn't want to do security anymore. So when I got back, I actually had an operation which sort of dragged things out a bit longer. But then I got a job working for an SEO company in Blackpool. So that was sort of my sort of big start to seeing how businesses operated online. So I got a job as an SEO apprentice. So there was an SEO manager there, and he sort of showed me how to rank websites, which funnily enough was the journey that I took from there, because I've been doing that ever since. So that was 2000. I think I started 2003 with that, but I was only there a year, because at that time I was dabbling a lot more at home with the making money online, and that's when sort of Google Adsense came out, and I was using software then to mass create these websites with thousands of pages. And I actually took that to the company. So I showed them what I was doing, and they actually hired people to create these websites as well back then. And they got up to, sort of $1,500 a day in AdSense revenue. And I didn't get a thank you. I didn't get a pay rise. I got absolutely nothing. The company ended up joining with a bigger company, which was further away. So I had further to travel. And I looked at it and I thought, I'm making, I think back at the time, I was doing 500 to 1,000 a day with AdSense myself, and I was still living at home. So, life was like, awesome back then. And I was like, no, I can do this. So I quit. That was 2004. And I've basically been working from home ever since then. But that was the initial journey. It was the fact of I was fed up with working away. I knew that I could make money online somehow. But then when I went away traveling, came back, that was it. Drew the line and said, right, I'm gonna work this out somehow, which is how I got the job for the SEO. And they, like I say, they taught me how to rank websites. And I was actually doing it sort of a bit myself anyway. But literally from there, that was the last job I had, which was, like I said, 2004.
Yeah, that sort of mirrors a little of what I was doing myself. Maybe not the same year. I was a couple of years after that, but yeah, I totally get what you mean there. With you work in this job, but you're making at least the same money, if not more money, at home doing your own thing, and that for me was the the catalyst for me to quit my job and go full time online myself. That was back in 2006. I never really got into the whole AdSense thing that much, but to hear that you were doing $500 to $1,000 a day, I mean, back in 2004, I only got my broadband connection in 2004. So to think that you were doing those sort of figures then is unreal. How long did that go on for?
Not as long as what I wanted, not as long as what I hoped it would go on for. To be honest, as soon as I quit the SEO job, thinking everything was great, it wasn't long after I quit the job that I got the email from AdSense that cancelled my main account. Because it was so easy back then. You could literally create a 2,000 page website, upload it, do what's called pinging back then. So you'd mass ping all the pages. Literally next day, the pages would be indexed in Yahoo. Google would take a couple of days, but then you'd be ranking. You'd literally go from building the site on a Monday to getting traffic and earnings on a Friday. You know, it was so much easier back then. But then Google quickly caught onto this, and they started bringing in the algorithms and wiping out all the pages, and also targeting the people who were putting AdSense on those pages, because the pages were basically just search results. So there was no real content. It was like, it would just scrape one of the search engines, bring in the top 10, 20 results for a particular keyword, and you place your AdSense on the top, your AdSense on the bottom, make the AdSense look like the results. So people would think they were clicking on a result, not an ad. So you change the colors and everything to look identical. But yeah, not very long. So probably within a year, in fact, it was less than that. It was probably within 6 months of quitting the SEO job. AdSense sort of cancelled my account. So I had to quickly pivot then to, okay, what else can I put on all these thousands of pages that were still ranked at the time? So I then moved on to like ClickBank. So I put ClickBank ads on all those sites, which would still bring in money, not as much as AdSense, but it was still income. You know, it was still income. So then I had to think about, okay, so what else can I do sort of to bring this money in, because that has ended now, you know. So then I had to move on to different things from there.
Yeah. So I mean, if you had that run of earning quite a large amount of money on a daily basis from Google AdSense, presumably you weren't poor back then when they eventually did can your account. But I mean, how did that make you feel when you had that email come through, basically telling you that this online dream has now come to an end?
It was obviously really sort of devastating at the time. You see, the thing is, you had to wait. You had to earn a month's earnings, and then at the end of the next month, Google would pay them out. So I literally lost 2 months worth of earnings at, you know, anywhere between 100 and or anywhere up to 1,000 a day. So 2 months was gone, you know, and there's nothing I could do about it. You know, you couldn't even appeal, which you know you still can't these days much anyway with a lot of the bigger companies. Yeah, it was devastating, but I knew that it was sort of the first step, because I'd proven that I could bring in this amount of money. So then obviously it was majorly disappointing, but at the other side of it, on the flip of the coin, I'd done it. You know, I'd made money and I'd proven that I could make money online. So I think that sort of switches in your head. Okay, I can do this. I just have to find another path or another way of doing it.
Yeah, yeah. So you think, well, I've done it once, I can do it again, and yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's the sort of mindset that I've had myself over the years as well, to varying degrees of success,
Mm.
admittedly. But yeah, I think when you've had the taste of making money online, I think that's hard to let go then, because you always believe that because you've done it once, then your next opportunity or your next big payday is not going to be too far away. So after you dabbled then with the clickbank ads, which I'm assuming weren't as lucrative as the Google AdSense side of things, did you then move away from these, I'll call them spammy websites, because there wasn't much in the way of content there? Was that when you moved away from that to do something else, or did you carry on with that for a while?
Yeah, so I carried on for a while because I could still put ClickBank on there. So I think I probably stayed with that for maybe a year. I think until the big algorithms, the big, you know, penguins and pandas and all the other animals. But I think before those sort of new algorithms came in and those pages completely got wiped out, I stuck with it as long as I could, basically. But it wasn't that long. It was only, I think, probably 2005. I started getting into WordPress a lot. So I think I started making, then I took the concept from the mass page building onto WordPress. So I started using WordPress to create mass pages, but with better content. So back then, you probably remember there was quite a few different plugins that you could put into WordPress that would bring in, you know, an article, a video, different things, you know, an RSS feed to get latest news and things like that. So I started doing that. I literally took the concept, So started making mass WordPress sites, automated, and those would rank. It would take longer, but though I found those would rank just as well. So I started. That's how I started from that, and then literally went from there. The next step after that was joining the Warrior Forum, which is, I think, where I met you. You know, back then.
Yeah. So you're doing the doing those websites. I mean, what sort of niches were you creating this content around, or was it
Every niche possible. Yeah. I mean, even from the AdSense days was anything from finance, golf, dogs, Super Bowl. Super Bowl was one of my best ever AdSense sites, bizarrely enough. Anything, literally any niche that you could monetize. So I'd literally go into ClickBank. ClickBank was a thing I sort of turned into mainly back then. So I go into ClickBank, look for popular products, choose the niche, get a massive list of keywords, and then just build the sites back then, which again was automated. It would, sort of push button automation back then, because it worked. It worked, and it worked well. So
I mean, when you first got onto the Warrior Forum, then what were you doing on there?
I joined the Warrior Forum, started looking around at what other people were doing, and I started looking at, I was offering services. So because I was using WordPress every day, basically, I got into making nice looking sites. And I also got into tweaking themes. So back then there wasn't WordPress widgets, so it was much harder to make them look what you want them to look like. And I actually started coding widgets myself, which was before WordPress brought them out. So I was literally before they made them part of what it is now. So I started doing a lot of that, and then I was looking around at people who were looking for different services. So I actually started offering my services as a WordPress site creator on the Warrior Forum, which is how I started getting money in. Initially, that was my first step on the Warrior Forum to making money, was offering that service as a WordPress sort of designer, basically.
Okay, so you were doing WordPress designing, WordPress coding, and was that then what led you to start blogging on your own WordPress site?
Yeah, so yes and no. Sort of a lot of things happened at the same time. Literally, what happened from where I was I got a message from a guy, a marketer in the UK, who wanted a WordPress site making. So I literally made the site for him. We chatted for a while, and he just asked me, "What do you do for a living?" I said, "Well, mainly I make these automated WordPress websites. I've got like hundreds and hundreds of them, and they all bring in, passive income." And he was like, "Well, why don't you teach that?" And I was like, "Well, that's not really, it's not anything I've done before. I've never created a course at that stage." And I was like, "Would people actually want to learn it?" He said, "Well, do people want to learn how to make money?" Basically what he said. So we put together a course. Now this is going on a few years now. I literally was on the Warrior Forum for a while. Before those two things, I was doing sort of, I guess I released the odd WSO, but not. It was mainly to do with making WordPress sites. So this was like 2008, 2009 now. And he said, "Well, I'll tell you what, I've got a big list of subscribers." He said, "If you create the course, I'll release it to my list and we'll see where it goes from there." So we put it on ClickBank. So we launched it on ClickBank, and it literally took off so much. It was one of the top 10 products on ClickBank at the time, which is just insane. We had so many affiliates jump on board and promote it. And I believe we did about, I'm guessing now, about 20,000 in sales. And then we took that and I flipped the whole thing, which is how again, we'll jump back a little bit, but that's how I sort of moved into making sites and selling them on Flipper rather than the Warrior Forum. So I flipped the whole course. So we launched it. We did about, I think it was about 25,000 in sales. And then I flipped the whole thing for $20,000, which was my first flip, one of my first ever website flips. And then that triggered another thing in my head. Hold on, I've got all these hundreds of sites. Why don't I just start selling them as they are rather than creating them for other people? But that was also my first step into creating my own courses as well. So yeah, it all sort of ties in from one thing to the next.
Yeah, that's amazing to have that first real product that you've created yourself to sell so many copies, not only having the backing of a marketer there who kind of liked what you were doing, and that sort of thing doesn't really happen so often these days. I don't think. I think there's a lot of you having to try to prove yourself that you're able to make them money rather than them kind of taking you under their wing and giving you your first break. But to make that sort of money on your first real launch is incredible. And then to, I suppose, leverage one of those other websites then like Flipper to sell the site as well and double your money. What was the next thing that you did? Were you having any success then in selling those other websites on Flipper?
Yeah, so I started moving then more into unique content, official, if you will, WordPress websites. So all the content would be unique. And then I started getting into SEO more. So I started ranking those websites because I saw how quickly a lot of the automated ones could get wiped out. I quickly moved into, okay, so how can I make it more sustainable? How can I make these websites last longer so that they're going to make me more money? So I sort of started moving into that. And then I started moving on to Flipper to make these sites. I then, not long after that, got involved in, I think it was 2012, got involved in like an underground SEO community, which was a paid paid coaching. Basically, it's still going now, but now it's like 10 grand to get into. But at the time, it was still a few thousand at the time. So I started joining that community where it's like the best SEOs in the world, basically. So I started learning from them to rank my websites. And so I started creating websites and selling them. That was sort of the main, and I've been doing that ever since. It's been, I still do that to this day. I still create websites and sell them. Not so much on Flipper these days because their prices just got crazy. But I built up a list of buyers over the past that I just mail out. If I've got a site for sale, I'll just do that. But on the other side of that, the guy that I launched the course with said, well, can you create any other courses? So we started doing that. So we started continuing with that. I would create the course, he would release it to his list. And that's still going. We still do that every single month. And that's 12 years. That's 12 years we've been working together. So yeah, I got very lucky with meeting him because that is also another income stream that comes into my business every single month. And we do that. We literally do that. Every single month we'll launch something to the list. And obviously, during the time in the last sort of 12 years, I, built my own list as well and released more products publicly on like Warrior Plus and JVZoo, which I don't do that as much, well, hardly ever anymore. But that allowed me to build up a buyer's list, a buyer's email list, which, I mail to every single day. Either my own, I'll either promote like an affiliate course or my own products or services. So that's between sort of, I'd say probably between 2012 and now, there's not been, I've tried a few different things, but I've sort of kept with the same business models basically, which is creating websites. I've got the partnership and releasing my own products and services, and obviously promoting affiliate products. That's pretty much it. There's been nothing major like over the last sort of 5-8 years, to be honest. It's just been sticking to the same thing, which gets us to sort of around about now, really, to be honest. There's no there's nothing in there that was majorly exciting, to be honest. It's just getting on with work every day and running a business basically.
Yeah, so I mean, just going back a little bit there. So you're working with this other marketer here based in the UK. Now you said that you're running a new offer to his list every single month. Are you creating a new product every month?
Yeah. So with his list, we pretty much stick to white label products because that's what his list is most passionate about. White label product is basically gives you the ability to sell that product for yourself. So I
Right.
will
Okay.
create a product. It might be a funnel. It might be like a free funnel they can use to collect leads. It might be a PDF. It might be a video training series. I will create that, create the sales page, create the course. We release it to his list and people buy the right to sell that course. And that's pretty much what we do as far as that side of the business is. We sell. So there's obviously positives and negatives to that. Negatives, I guess, if I was to sell that course, it doesn't, because other people are selling it, it's not as valuable if I wanted to flip the whole thing like on Flipper, because other people have got the rights to sell it. But the benefits of it is it's pretty much guaranteed sales every month, because it's not that easy to get good products to sell for yourself these days. You look at most PLR, private label rights websites, and it's a 10,000 word ebook written by a non-English speaker. It's a crappy sales page, so it's hard to get good products that you can sell yourself. So I do work hard at creating the products and making sure they're good products to sell. But yeah, so that's the angle we take on that. That's pretty much white label.
Okay. So how do you come up with the ideas every month? And if you're effectively launching 12 new products every year at a minimum, and how do you keep coming up with those ideas then to make sure that it's something fresh and interesting for your potential customers to get involved with?
It can vary, to be honest. It's not always necessarily a new product. It might be like a service. It might be like a done for you. But I generally take inspiration from what I see around, because I'm a lot more active on social media, I guess, in the last sort of year. So I'm following a lot more, well, a year or two, following a lot more people. So you see a lot more of what's selling, of what's going on. It's harder because you used to be able to go onto like the Warrior Plus or JV Zoo and get a good idea from the top sellers of different angles that you can actually create products in. But as you know, these days you just can't do that, especially on like Warrior Plus, because I've got no ambitions to sell 3-click traffic built in, make $200 every single night products that will do no good to the end customer, and I make no apologies for saying that to any Warrior Plus sellers out there. But the only people currently getting rich from Warrior Plus is the sellers and Mike from Warrior Plus. There are good products on there, but they will very rarely hit the top 10 or the top 25. So that's just a mini rant out there. But yeah, so coming up with ideas, it can be like a funnel in a different way. It might be like a funnel on here's how to build a list, here's how to make a blog, here's how to do affiliate marketing, here's how to do high ticket affiliate marketing. And it will just be like a funnel of like 5-6 videos. They get a squeeze page, they get the training, and they get to put their affiliate links on the training page to the various programs mentioned in the training. So it's not most of it sticks to online marketing. We don't go into like other niches, like it's pretty much all online marketing. But you can always come up with angles. There's always something there that you can come up with.
Yeah. Okay. That's really interesting actually, how you can I suppose take any aspect of online marketing and then just quickly put together a white label product and be able to sell that then to a ready-made audience. That sounds like a superb business model, actually.
It
And
works
I think
well.
it's, yeah, I think it's what you say there, just keeping it simple, not really deviating from what's working for you from year to year, and just cracking on with it. I think that's some great advice for people who are maybe entering online marketing for the first time, and not just to be seduced by every shiny object and new way of making money online. Just stick to what works. So at what point then did you set up your own blog? Because I know that's something that you're quite involved with as well.
Yeah, I think that was it was only about 2 years ago. I think when I moved into more looking into high ticket affiliate marketing, I think making sales in high ticket, as you know, is more about the brand. So it's more about you. So then I sort of sat down and thought, well, okay, I don't currently have like my own sort of place on the internet. So I don't have my own blog. I mean, I had a really old one, but it was just in the make money online niche. It wasn't like a brand as such. So I said, right, so I'll need a blog. I start a YouTube channel, and then that moved on to TikTok. And then I've pretty much just got YouTube, TikTok, and the blog as far as social goes, and obviously my Facebook group. But it was, yeah, so probably about 2 years ago when I started getting into high ticket. I knew you've got to be the face. You know, if you want to make high ticket sales, people are going to have to know, like, and trust you before they're going to get the wallet out and say, well, okay, I see that you're an authority, you know what you're talking about, and I trust you, and I'll go with you, so I'll buy through your link, basically, because it's, you know, affiliate marketing. So I knew I had to do that. So probably about 2 years ago.
Okay, so I know your blog is called HubZap. I was intrigued. Where did that name come from?
There was no science behind it. It was basically just a domain name that I happened to have. And at the time, I was thinking, okay, a brand name needs to be memorable. And HubZap is sure it's, you know, it's something that maybe people can remember. And then I was thinking, well, maybe I'll try and use the term HubZap as in starting a community and like igniting that community. So I sort of was thinking I might be able to put that together. But in the end, I just thought, well, I'll just call it HubZap. And then that's the end of it. So it was just because I had the domain name, basically. It was a short domain name I wanted to do something with it for a while. So I thought, well, I'll just use that. So that's basically the brand name for me.
Yeah. Have you been able to get your own name as a domain name?
I've got the .co.uk. I've never been able to have the .com has been owned by a doctor since I first came online. Basically, I've never been able to get the .com, but yeah, I've had the .com, the .co.uk for a long time. Yeah, but that's the website that actually has my old blog on it that I haven't touched since probably about 2012. It was just literally just make money online stuff on there, so I don't touch it. I presume it's still up. I don't know. I think it is, but yeah. So no, so just the .com. I don't think it's obviously not vital to have your own domain name as a .com. It's nice to have, but you either go with another version of it or choose a brand name, or, you know, people will know you from it's like Darren Rouse, you know, from Pro Blogger. A lot of times you think of a website and you know who it's by. So you'll always get that connection if you can't get your own domain name, you know, your own name. So
I think if I do have one regret, though, in all my years online, it's not registering the davidwalker.com domain name. I'm assuming it was available when we were able to register domain names. I think that was back in the year 2000, even though a lot of big domain names had been registered years prior to that. But I think they were publicly available to us in the UK in that year. So that's one of my regrets, is not at least check in to try to get that domain name. I don't know why I didn't do it. It was only, I think, within the last year or so that I actually got the .net version, davidwalker.net.
you had .tv, didn't you, for a while?
I did have that as well. Yeah, that's long since dropped as well. But yeah, I got the .net last year sometime. But I checked that on the Wayback Machine as well, and that had been first registered back in 1999. Some Canadian guy had it, so I was quite fortunate that it had dropped within the last couple of years, so I was able to register it. But I suppose that just goes to show that some of these domains are still available, or they will become available at some point if you're just patient enough to wait for them. So I'm still hopeful at some point I'm going to be able to get the .com version, but at the moment I'm pretty happy with the .net. One of the things that you wrote in the form to do prior to the episode was about having, or the importance of having a blog or something you control. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think there's the trend over, the last few years, especially with social media, if you're in like the high ticket space, is to set up an account on Facebook or create a YouTube channel. And the problem with that is if you're building your whole business around that thing you don't control, then as I found out with Google AdSense, that can all be wiped out in an email. If you spend a year building up your Facebook profile, but then Facebook brings in an automated algorithm that says, oh no, you've crossed the line, your account's gone, then you've lost everything. So for me, I created Hubzap as a sort of central hub. So I've got my socials, I've got my YouTube, my TikTok, my Facebook group, but my blog is on those. So people will always be able to come to my blog. I've obviously got sign-ups, like a newsletter thing on my blog, so people can join my list from my blog. But it's just giving yourself a way of controlling your online space. So I think for me, I always recommend people get something that they control. If it's a WordPress blog, if it's whatever it is, but you need to be in control of it, because you can lose everything in literally an email. You can lose a year's worth of work, so-called work on social media, overnight, automated, and not really struggle to get it back. Because these big companies aren't that bothered that Tony from Blackpool has just had his YouTube account closed down. To actually you can't get through to anyone on these big companies, number one. Number two, you've got to wait a month to try and get an appeal. And, it's just, for me, I don't go down the whole route of building your business on one channel, especially if you don't own that property. So that's why I always recommend people to at least get somewhere that can't be taken away from you, So that's why I always recommend people get a blog. That's why my whole sort of ecosystem really is built around my blog. People can go to my blog and find my social media. People can find my social media and come back to the blog. So it all works around each other.
Yeah, I think that's some really good advice. And that was one of the motivations for me to set up my own blog last year. I've had blogs, several blogs actually, over the years, but that was one of my main motivators to try to get back into that side of things myself, because I've been publishing quite a lot on Facebook, some longer blog style posts. And I thought, well, this is the perfect opportunity now to actually repost these onto a blog and have this archive of content that, as you rightly say, can't be taken away from me. So if Facebook or any other social media platform that I'm on decide that they don't want me on there anymore, they don't like what I've got to say, or maybe they just don't like my face or whatever, and they decide to close the account, well, all of that work and that effort isn't lost. You also said as well something about finding a skill you can use to pay the bill. So I think you've kind of touched on that a little bit so far, where you're talking about creating products and being consistent with that. But have you got any other tips or advice on finding a skill you can use to pay the bills?
Yeah, I think it goes back to when I started making websites for other people. I think it was a thing of, especially if you're an affiliate marketer, you don't have your own products, you might just be starting. I think finding one thing that you can actually sell to other people, even if it's a service, will do you a lot of favors, especially if the affiliate side or whatever you're building isn't quite working, or you get a bad month, or you get a bad week, or you need to bring some money in today. I think having a skill that you can actually sell to other people, for me, was a big thing, because it allowed me to have money coming in, and obviously it led on to connections and, you know, the other things that way. But I think if you actually just learn a skill, whatever it might be, if it's creating websites, copywriting, writing emails, setting up YouTube channels, doing graphics, whatever that is, I think that one skill will always come in handy, because not only can you provide that skill to other people and get paid for it when you need it, you can teach that skill. So once you learn it, obviously it's the whole learn, do, teach thing, you know. Once you've learned that skill, you can then put your own course or do coaching, teach people exactly what you're doing. But you first got to learn the skill. You know, far too often people might make one affiliate sale and then suddenly they're the expert. So they release this course saying, you know, look how I'm making, you know, all these sales and things like that. And it's just, you can't do that if you want to be taken seriously and if you want a sustainable business. So I think for me, learning how to create WordPress sites for other people was a big thing for me that really helped me. And I still do it to this day. I still email my list and say, look, I will make you a WordPress website. I'll put content on there. I'll give you an SEO plan, and I sell that service because I enjoy that side of it. It's something I've done for so long. I enjoy the technical side of it. So I don't mind providing done for you services. You know, a lot of people are all about passive income and pushing a button, doing no work. And if you want to have a sustainable business, you've got to have multiple ways to make money, whether that's putting in the work, doing the hours. It's not all about passive income. I mean, sure, you can build a system where there's passive income and you can make a lot of money from that, but a lot of that can be taken away, you know, if you are using the social media channels. So for me, I wanted to have something that I could actually sell. So that's why, again, I would recommend, especially if you're starting out, just learn a skill that you can charge people money for, and it will get you a long way to sort of being sustainable and, you know, having money coming in whenever you actually need it, you know. So it's quite important, I think.
Yeah, the voice of reason there. in an industry full of smoke and mirrors. But yeah, I think that's some good advice there. What is the number one thing that you would recommend that a newcomer to online marketing does?
I'd say probably a couple of things. I think the first thing is to build your list as soon as you can. That would be definitely one of my number one things. You know, my list brings in money pretty much every single day. I email my list every day, and it's been a big thing for me. And it's, you know, it's no secret. The money is in the list, but it's also in how you use the list. So I'd say definitely build a list. And I'd also say learn the skill. I'd say there was two things there, probably. Learn actually how you can literally go out and be almost guaranteed to make money by learning that skill. So you go out there and you'll bring money in same day by selling the skill. That's important because you never know where those connections will get you as well. You know, if you're doing work for some particular person, you don't necessarily know where that new connection will get you. You know, I've got a 12-year business by someone who emailed me wanting a WordPress website built. You know, so you never really know. So I think the two things, probably build a list, definitely build a list as soon as you can, and email the list with offers. Never be afraid to make offers to your list. You know, you get a lot of people who might say, oh, you can't email your list every day. You need to provide value. You need to send 3 emails with value before you can send an affiliate link. No, that's just not going to do you any favors. You know, your list will get used to you. So they'll get used to how often you mail, your methods of what products you promote. And if you're sending emails out without offers, without affiliate links in there, or your own products, whatever it might be, you're not going to make money from that email. So for me, build a list. Don't be afraid to email that list with offers, and also try and find that one skill that you can use to actually build your foundation, have an almost guaranteed way of making money online whilst you work on whatever else you want to work on, the passive income, building up your list, whatever it is. Have that solid foundation.
Yeah, that's some really good advice there as well. That is definitely coming from the voice of experience. What would you say in all of the years that you've been online, what achievement are you proud of the most?
That's a loaded question. I'd probably say I enjoy the coaching side of it. I enjoy actually getting on and teaching people what to do. So I think for me, far more than the money, far more than working online, I do genuinely enjoy the coaching. I enjoy helping people and getting people from where they are now to where they want to get to. So I'd probably say the people that I've helped would be the biggest sort of achievement rather than anything financial. I could probably say would be, yeah, I'd probably say that, to be honest.
Yeah, that's a great answer. So you've done a lot of things over the years. You've done blogging, you've done website building, you've done SEO, you've done video marketing, you've done social media. There can't be much left. What is next for you then over the next 12 months or so? What have you got planned for the immediate future?
I think what I'm going to be focusing on, which kind of goes against what I've been saying, but doesn't, is building up my social media around my hub. So I think for the next few years, especially, I want to build my YouTube. I want to build my Facebook group. I want to stay with TikTok and use that to funnel people into my hub. I think just take the most out of those platforms while I can. While TikTok's hot, YouTube will always be hot and be around, but it takes a lot more work to actually build a channel where you're getting a lot of subscribers, a lot of views. So I think I'm going to be focusing on social as well as keeping the regular side of the business going. But I want to take advantage and get a lot more people onto my list. Basically, from social media is the ultimate aim, because I know that my list is where a lot of the money comes from, and where I can reach a lot more people, from doing that through my own products and services. So I think probably social is where I'll be. So the aim will be to get on camera more, basically, with YouTube and TikTok, and to grow my group. I kind of sort of go on and off. I kind of neglect things. So I'll hit my YouTube for like a week or two, but then I'll get caught up with something else. So I think I'll probably streamline what I'm doing with social and have a better plan of the content that I'm getting out there. But the whole aim will be to get people into Hubzap, into my blog, onto my list, and take advantage of every free traffic method, because I've never been into paid traffic. Just take advantage of those free platforms while I can, and build my list. Basically, is I think what I'm going to be focusing on for the next couple of years.
Yeah, that sounds like a great plan because as we've talked about so far, you've got this central hub set up now. You've got the blog set up there. You've got a means of collecting people's email addresses. So that's going to be the constant. You're always going to have that there. And then as you say there, you're just going to take advantage then of all of these other social media platforms which may not be around forever and you don't have any control over that. But while you're able to use them, you can then funnel people from these various platforms into what you control, your blog, get people onto your list. And then when one of these platforms maybe disappear, another one comes up to replace it, then you can just plug into that one and
Exactly
continue
that.
the process. So that's an excellent plan, and I think something that everybody listening to should maybe have a think about as well to try to do the same. So just before you go, then Tony, if people want to find out more about you, where is the best place for them to do that? And I also know that you've got a free gift for the listeners as well in the form of an affiliate marketing training course.
Yeah, probably Hubzap. So hubzap.com is the blog. So you'll find the link to my Facebook, my YouTube on my blog there. Yeah, the free gift is a training program I created, I think a couple of years ago now, but it's still completely relevant. So I think there's about 32 videos, and it's called the Rock Solid Super Affiliate System. And it basically teaches you how to create a business just like what I've built. So it takes you from creating a blog, running through to driving traffic and finding affiliate offers, and basically from A to Z of building your own affiliate business. So that is, the free. It's a paid course actually, but your viewers can have it, or listeners can have it for free. And you've got the link to that. It's quite a long link. I won't be able to remember it, but the link to that should be around this.
Yeah, I'll put all your links in the show notes as well, so people will have easy access to all of that. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining me on the episode today, Tony. It's been a wonderful journey back down memory lane over the past 20 years or so online, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you come up with next. So thank you once again for joining me, and I'll catch up with you very soon, no doubt.
No, that's great. Thanks for having me, David.
My pleasure. Please visit internetmarketingrevealed.com and davidwalker.net for more free content. If you need a domain name for your business, visit domainsrevealed.com, where you'll find more than 1,000 premium domains. And finally, please rate and review this podcast. Thank you again for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode.